Beneath the glow of the full moon, a warrior's love is tested in the shadows of betrayal. What happens when trust shatters and the kingdom's fate hangs by a thread? The answers will leave you breathless. Subscribe to our channel at Echoes Africa Stories now, and don't forget to hit the notification bell. This is a story you won't want to miss. The rustle of leaves interrupted Femi's concentration. He turned to see Adanna, a maiden he had admired from afar, approaching. Her voice was soft but carried a haunting melody. "Femi," she whispered, "I had a vision, a warning. You must come with me." Femi hesitated, his hand tightening around his spear. Adanna's gaze held him captive, her beauty unmatched but her intentions uncertain. Adanna led Femi to the river Ijola, its surface glistening like molten silver. There, she revealed a truth that shook him: a neighboring kingdom sought the sacred stone, and someone close to the king had betrayed the kingdom. Femi clenched his jaw. Who would dare betray Oba Adekoya? But before she could answer, a loud cry pierced the air. Figures emerged from the trees, their faces hidden behind carved wooden masks. Femi raised his spear, prepared to fight, but Adanna stepped back, her expression unreadable. Adanna's gaze shifted, and a single tear rolled down her cheek. "Femi," she whispered, "forgive me." Before Femi could react, the masked figures surrounded him. Adanna stepped aside, her silence louder than any battle cry. The leader of the masked group removed his mask. It was Oba Adekoya's trusted general. Femi's grip on his spear tightened as the masked warriors advanced. The general, now unmasked, sneered, his deep voice laced with malice. "Femi," the general said, "you're a fool to think loyalty is absolute. The king grows weak, and it's time for new leadership. Hand over the sacred stone or your blood will stain this river." Femi stepped forward, defiant. "You forget, General. Loyalty to the king is loyalty to the people. I will protect Ogun Kingdom even from traitors like you." Adanna's tear-filled eyes met Femi's. "I didn't have a choice," she said softly, her voice breaking. But her words were drowned by the clashing of weapons as the masked warriors charged. Femi fought valiantly, his spear dancing like lightning under the moonlight. He struck down one assailant, then another, but the odds were overwhelming. Adanna remained motionless, her face shadowed by guilt and fear. Back in the palace, Oba Adekoya awoke with a start. He clutched the staff of judgment tightly, his dreams haunted by visions of betrayal. In his dream, he saw Femi surrounded by enemies, a faint glow emanating from the sacred stone. "Guards," he bellowed, his deep voice echoing through the halls. "Summon the council. I fear treachery is afoot." The king's eldest son, Prince Adewale, rushed into the chamber. "Father, what troubles you?" he asked. Oba Adekoya's eyes were filled with sorrow. "A betrayal I did not foresee. We must act swiftly, or Ogun Kingdom will crumble before dawn." As the battle raged, Adanna's mind was a storm of conflicting emotions. She had been coerced into aiding the general, believing it would save her family from harm. Yet seeing Femi fight so fiercely, she realized the depth of his honor and bravery. Suddenly, one of the masked warriors approached her. "Adanna," he hissed, "end this now, or you'll pay the price." Her hand trembled as she reached for a hidden blade beneath her dress. Her heart raced. Would she betray Femi entirely, or would she find the courage to defy the general? As Femi's strength began to wane, the sacred stone in his satchel began to glow faintly. Its light grew brighter with every strike he landed, casting the battlefield in an eerie silver hue. The general noticed the glow and shouted, "The stone! It's awakening." Adanna's eyes widened. "The stone reacts to those pure of heart," she murmured. Her decision was clear now. She turned to face the masked warriors, blade in hand. Adanna gripped the blade tightly, her heart pounding as she faced the advancing warrior who threatened her. The masked figure lunged toward her, but in a sudden burst of resolve, she sidestepped and slashed the blade across his arm. The warrior staggered back, clutching the wound, as Adanna shouted, "Enough! This madness must end." Her voice carried across the battlefield, momentarily halting the chaos. Femi, breathing heavily and battered from the relentless fight, glanced at her in surprise. "Adanna," he said, his voice strained. "You have a choice now, stand with the kingdom or fall with the betrayers." Adanna's tears glistened under the moonlight as she moved to Femi's side. Her betrayal burned her heart, but her determination to set things right was stronger. The glowing stone in Femi's satchel began to pulse with greater intensity, as if sensing Adanna's shift in loyalty. A sudden wave of light emanated from it, forcing the masked warriors to stumble backward. The general growled, "The stone belongs to no one. It's a tool of power, and I will wield it." Femi unshaded the stone from his satchel, holding it high as its light seemed to respond to his resolve. The ground beneath their feet trembled, and ancient symbols began to glow on the stone surface. "This stone is not for power," Femi shouted. "It is for justice, for wisdom, and for the people." As dawn began to break, the sound of distant drums echoed through the forest. Reinforcements from the kingdom, led by Oba Adekoya and Prince Adewale, arrived. The king's commanding voice rang out. "General Otman, you will answer for your betrayal." The general sneered but showed no fear. "You are too late, old man. The kingdom is already divided. These warriors follow me now." Oba Adekoya raised his staff of judgment, its polished wood gleaming in the morning light. "The kingdom is not a prize to be claimed by treachery. The gods will decide who is righteous." Femi and Adanna exchanged glances, their fates intertwined. They both knew that the battle was far from over. As the drums of the approaching royal warriors grew louder, General Otman realized his time was running out. He stepped forward, his hand gripping the hilt of his ceremonial sword. "You think the gods favor you, Femi," he spat. "Let us see if your resolve is stronger than my ambition." With a sharp motion, Otman signaled his remaining warriors to attack the royal reinforcements. Chaos erupted once again as the two sides clashed. Femi, still holding the sacred stone, felt its warmth intensify. "This is not just a weapon," Femi muttered. "This is a test." He closed his eyes, letting the stone's energy guide him. Ancient words filled his mind, and his body moved instinctively, striking down enemies with precision. Adanna, emboldened by Femi's courage, used her blade to shield the injured. As the royal army began to overwhelm the rebels, Oba Adekoya stepped into the clearing. His staff of judgment glowed faintly, mirroring the sacred stone's energy. He raised it high, and the battlefield fell silent. "Enough," the king commanded, his voice cutting through the tension. "No more bloodshed. Let the gods decide the fate of this kingdom." The general laughed bitterly. "You speak of gods, but where are they now? This is a battle of men, and I do not bow to old relics or dying kings." Oba Adekoya approached slowly, his presence undeniable. He turned to Femi. "The stone has chosen you, Femi. You must decide. Will you wield its power for vengeance, or will you seek wisdom?" Femi hesitated, the weight of the decision bearing down on him. Adanna stepped forward, her voice steady despite her trembling hands. "The stone belongs to the people," she said, her eyes meeting the king's. "Let it guide us to peace, not destruction." Femi raised the glowing stone, its light enveloping the clearing. A low hum filled the air as the energy seemed to reach into every soul present. The warriors, both loyalists and rebels, dropped their weapons, overcome by the stone's power. The general staggered, his knees buckling under the weight of unseen forces. The king's voice rang out again. "The gods do not favor traitors, Otman. Your judgment is here." The stone's glow intensified, and the ground beneath the general cracked slightly. He screamed as the energy bound him, rendering him immobile. The light dimmed, leaving the battlefield eerily quiet. Femi lowered the stone, his body trembling from exhaustion. "It is done," he whispered. As dawn fully broke, the king approached Femi and Adanna. He placed a hand on Femi's shoulder. "You have shown great courage and wisdom, my son. The kingdom owes you its gratitude." Turning to Adanna, the king's gaze softened. "And you, Adanna, have proven that even in the darkest moments, redemption is possible. Your bravery will not be forgotten." Adanna bowed deeply, tears streaming down her face. "I will spend the rest of my life making amends for my mistakes." The royal army gathered the remaining rebels, preparing to return them to the capital for judgment. The sacred stone, now dim, was returned to its resting place, ensuring the kingdom's safety for generations to come. What new challenges will the kingdom face as it rebuilds? Will Adanna and Femi's bond grow stronger, or will lingering mistrust create distance between them? What secrets does the sacred stone still hold, and will it ever be called upon again? The battle is over, but the story is far from finished. What will happen to Femi, Adanna, and the kingdom they fought to protect? Subscribe to our at Echoes Africa Stories now and hit the notification bell to uncover the next chapter of the Moonlight Betrayal.